Good evening, everybody, subscribers, people that are new to the channel, people that stumbled across this on accident. I don't know how because I'm not recommended anymore because I'm a small independent channel and YouTube wants to, sheepdog everybody into the corporate approved CNN, MSNBC, Fox News type because they're dying. We must not let people know there is an alternative, or anybody who questions the status quo, those things must not be said because they may make sense and then the status quo may change. We benefit from the status quo, so we mustn't have that. So, that being said, I've decided to branch out a little bit. And one of the things I want to start doing is a segment on intuitive advice. It's where I use my intuition and give advice based on my past experiences that are not just relevant to the things I am, like INFJ men, because there's not many of us, or demisexual men, because there's not many of them either, or male witches, because there's really not that many of them. And you put it all together, and suddenly I'm in a room by myself, like this. But I want to give advice similar to younger people, particularly younger men, but it'll benefit younger women too. But obviously, it's going to be from a male perspective. Um, Advice similar to that of which members of Generation X gave me, back in the early and mid 2000s when I was young. Now I'm middle aged. So I want to get that out there, tell some truths about things that you may not think is normal, that is normal given your situation, how things change rapidly, and how most likely the advice that you're receiving from the baby boomer generation is probably out of touch. Maybe not out of malice, but just, out of touch, because things don't work the way they did in the 80s anymore. And some of them refuse to accept that. Some do, some don't. It's a unique thing. I don't want to get too deep on this, but I find a unique thing, at least anecdotally, where I live. There seems to be this unique thing amongst the baby boomer generation that they don't want to accept how much things have changed from their heyday. And it's weird because at my old job when I was an assistant manager at a country club, there were many members of the silent generation there as well. It's the Depression era people between the World War II generation and the boomers. They would often talk about how things have changed. Now, these people are in their late 70s into their 80s. They don't know how things work today, and I wouldn't expect them to, but they know and admit and put out there that things do not work the way they did in their heyday in the 50s and 60s. They know that it's changed since then, that how they got their careers started out of university in like the early 60s. They know it doesn't work like that anymore. So that's something. But the boomers, on the other hand, it's like, well, this is what I did in 1979. It should be the same today. It's like, really? Or, go to this place. This is where I started before I could find a job in my field. I had a good union job at this factory. That closed in 1997. Well, it closed because, people your age wouldn't work there. I was 10 in 1997. Excuses, that kind of thing. And that has been a semi-common occurrence for me. Before I get started into this topic, because I do go off on tangents, please like and subscribe, and please click on the notification button to let the YouTube algorithm know that you actually want content like mine. Do this for other channels you subscribe to that are, independent people telling the truth, unfiltered, and are not some kind of like corporate type channel. But if you like them, go ahead and like them. But they're getting enough help. We need to help. And if you really want to show appreciation, you can send a tip to the channel via the super thanks button or the links found in the about section. Additionally, if you would like to have a custom video made for you, either publicly for all to view or privately to where only you can view it via a link I will send, please watch the video on which I discuss that. It is the one with the thumbnail with my modeling picture of me in a white t-shirt. I go into detail about how to have that done, what it costs. It's really cheap, and check that out if that's something you're interested in, because some have requested that I do that, and I finally did, and I've set up an email specifically for that. Finally, I'm going to get into my topic, because I go on a little bit on this one because this is the first video in a new playlist. What I want to do in this video is give some advice, and I mentioned that, but specifically advice for why people in their mid-20s and onward start to feel lonely. Well, your life has changed in a lot of ways. By your mid-20s, you are typically out of the university system and you're working full-time, hopefully in a job that you can at least stand. That's not always the case, especially when I was that age, because it was during the Great Recession and they were few and far between, you know. And I want to talk about how that is a natural and common occurrence, and how what you had, what was your normal in high school and university, is gone forever. And that's not actually normal. That is an artificial bubble that is never coming back. So do not fret. And, what I'm about to say obviously pertains to men and women. It's from a male perspective. It also pertains to all personality types. Although I will mention, like everything I say, comes from the perspective of a Sigma INFJ heterosexual demisexual male, because that is what I am, and it will not change. My mother tried, but no, I'm still not an extrovert. So keep in mind what an artificial environment is. Throughout your time in school and in the university, you are surrounded by people roughly your own age, within 5 years typically, with few exceptions, but the vast majority are within 5 years. You have a schedule that is made for you, not so much in university, but throughout your school time, of where to go, what to do, when. And university, you're scheduling classes, you have some say over when they are, but you are still in an artificial school environment with people that are roughly your own age, with weekends off, unless you have a job, maybe you do, or you work as a TA and you sell plasma like I did. Everybody should do that. You're helping sick people and you make your drinking money. Some of the younger guys who work for me at the country club that are in Penn State now, 10 years after my time, they're doing the same. It's like, yeah, man, it takes 3 hours of your time and it's $100 cash. There's your drinking money for the week, and probably. So understand what that environment is, that once you're out of that environment, it's gone forever and it's not the norm. And also understand that if you still drink the way you did once you leave university, it's called alcoholism, and you should get help in all seriousness, because a lot of my friends did need help in that. You're going to be in the quote real world, unfiltered, meaning once you leave university and you enter that full-time career, that's going to be the next 45 years of your life roughly. Unless you get lucky and marry money. That'd be awesome. She'd have to be my type too. My type. And with money. And single. Okay, there's a woman who fits that criteria. But once you're out of that environment, understand you're not going to see your friends as much as you did in the past. And when you're in university and in school, everybody's in that environment, not just you. And, you are able to socialize. You're all roughly in the same area. You have roughly the same schedule. You are all working towards the same goal. You're all in the same stage of life. Once you're out, a lot changes. People move people move for their careers. People move for their relationships. People join the military. Things of that nature. So once you're out in the working world, you don't have, like university, you're all roughly on the same schedule. I mean, your classes aren't all at the same time, but your classes all fit within the same block of time, like from 8 a.m. 8 a.m.s to, night classes that go to about 9. Within that gap. You're in the working world, that's not the case. There are people that work shift work. People work 3 to 11. People work 3 a.m. to 3. People work, 24 hours on, 24 hours off, 24 hours on, and have 4 days off. Okay, that's a firefighter thing. But there are firefighters. I was. So understand people work weekends. People work 12-hour shifts. There's all people work from home. There's all different kind of work schedules once you and your friends from university are out in the working world, and people have to move to pursue some of these jobs. People get married, people have children. So much changes really fast once you leave that environment. This leads to you being lonely because, given your own personal schedule, your own work schedule, do not go in the golf course management. You will be working 80 hours a week like I did right out of university. So don't do that. The only job where you'll be working more hours for bad pay and possibly living on site would be if you join the Scientology Sea Org, and whatever you do, don't do that. If you are thinking of doing that, I'll get you in touch with Mike Rinder and he'll set you straight. So read my review of his book, which is awesome, and anyone can learn from that book, not just those that were in Scientology, but anybody who is in any type of abusive environment or pressured by coercive control can have some takeaways from Mike Rinder's book, as I did. So check out the video and all my other older videos because they're good, and YouTube's not going to recommend them because I'm me. I'm bad. So you're in this, you're out in the real world now, and you're working, perhaps working too much, so you're tired, you don't have as much free time as you did, especially if your job requires you to work weekends, and the depression starts to sit in. You're like, you're getting nostalgic for just going out to the pub with bub. I didn't know if I wanted to say bar or pub. If you're going out to the pub with your handful of friends, or you're going to the club, assuming you're an extrovert. An introvert's not going to go to the club unless like a guy like me is not going to go to a club unless whatever girl he's into at the time asks him to. Then we will. But you're not going to have that free time, and understand that that is normal. Do not think there's something wrong with you that you're not socializing as much as you could, or that you're losing touch with people. People are in all different situations. You're not all in the same situation anymore. Can't say that enough. You're going to probably gravitate towards people you know from work because you're going to be on the same schedule, and you're obviously going to have something in common, and you're going to be spending the most time with each other. Be wary of dating people you work with. It can go either way, but if it falls apart abruptly, doesn't go good, make things real awkward real fast. And there's really no good way to deal with that, so be aware. So your social life has changed dramatically and permanently from, bubble world to real world. And it's also important to note that when you're in the real world, you're going to be interacting regularly with people of all different age groups. You're no longer in an environment where everybody's roughly the same age as you, and where you're all equals as students. You're going to have people, junior to you, senior to you, and they're going to be from all different ages, all different backgrounds, all different economic backgrounds. And not everybody's going to be, like I went to college and have a degree, because in college you're all there pursuing a degree. So that's going to be, a wake up too. You're not going to be around people your own age, which also means you're not going to be around as much people that can relate to pop culture references, things you grew up with, because it's easier to relate generally with people roughly your own age. So now, especially depending on your job, you could be the kid, the kid, depending on what career you're going to and how big of a company you work for. And it can be challenging, to adjust to that, because now you're working all the time. You have bills to pay, and not just rent and stuff you pay in college, but I mean full on, you know, bills of a full-time employee, not to mention student loans to pay. Thanks, boomers, for tripling the cost of what you paid for college in inflation-adjusted dollars by voting in Reagan and giving yourself a few $100s in tax breaks for the middle class to spend on cocaine and cocaine accessories, and then, busting unions and basically selling the government to the rich, because money equals speech. Okay, I'll stop my political rant now. But demand side capitalism, that's the way to go. And no, it's not socialism. Are you going to call it the White Eisenhower a socialist? No, don't think so. His top tax rate was 91%. Just saying. But this new environment can wear on you. It can make you feel as if you have no life, and you may not. It may make you think as a failure as a person, because even if you're successful monetarily, you'll be like, all I do is work. I don't see any of my friends. I don't go out. I don't do anything. Like, What was the point of all this? I don't get to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And that can be tough because when you first get out of school, too, you're taught, career is everything. You must make a name for yourself. You must climb the ladder. That could be hard to do, especially if you're not in the old boys club, like I'm not. So that can wear on you too, especially if you're making junk money, working a job that you don't like, that, you might have been given the old bait and switch about what it would be like, and you're exiled from all the people that you wish you still could see. You're missing out on, weekends at the beach and everything that other people with better schedules have. It wears on you. It does. Even if you're an introvert like me, I remember it really wore on me, made you think about, well, why did I bother graduating with honors? Like, I don't get to enjoy any of this. All I do is work a job I hate. Know that that usually gets better after the first couple years when you realize, like, you know, you realize socializing with your friends after university is like quality over quantity. So the nice thing is that when you do actually get to see your friends, it's more, you'll do something you all want to do. It's more, like an experience than, oh, just hanging out and doing nothing, because you don't have time to do that. So, but the time you do have, it'll be of better quality for the most part. But there are going to be people that you essentially lose touch with, other than keeping in touch with via social media, because, hey, maybe they have kids now and they live far away and they're on a complete different schedule than you. That kind of thing. Know that that adjustment takes time to get used to, and understand and accept, unlike my man-child brother, that those days of university, that lifestyle is never coming back. That stage of life is over. So enjoy it while you can. It doesn't last forever. And when it's gone for good. You know, understand that a lot of people, like around 24, 25, get nostalgic, like, oh, well, if I just moved back to where I went to college. It's like, everybody you ever knew is gone. You can't go back, because it's the people that make that experience really fun, not the place. Because, I could go to state college now, at 35. I ain't going to be reliving my college days. Things have changed in the town since my time, and no one I knew is there. I might get hit on by some college girls. They do tend to still hit on me. I do tend to push them away, except for the one that I didn't, and I should have. But there's no going back and reliving those days. So once you're out of university, the best thing to do is to, like, truly seek connections with people you can have a deep connection with, that you really enjoy spending time with, because you're probably not going to have that large circle of acquaintances. You when you do have free time and you're able to go to the pub, go out to dinner, go to a hockey game, do whatever, it's going to be with a small group of people. So you're going to get to know these people in that small group quite well. It's not like in university where it's like, well, these 12 of us are going to the club, and then, the next night you go out with a different group of 12 people to this pub, where those large groups of people your own age, that's really not going to be a thing, unless you, like, join the military or something. Then you all be roughly the same age, but then you have a real strict schedule. So understand that, no, it's not you, that the loneliness factor that you feel is normal, because so much has changed so quick. And the nostalgia in you is wondering, like, what did I do wrong? How come I couldn't perpetuate what I had in university? And my long-winded rants here and examples are to tell you that that is not possible, that what you're feeling is normal, that, you're slowly accepting that a stage of your life that's very fun is over and gone for good. And particularly if you're in a job you hate and you're being treated like shit, as I was at that age, you're nostalgic for better times and looking back, wishing you made the most out of the time you have, which you should, because trust me, there'll be plenty of work years. College doesn't last forever. So be aware of that. Do not get down on yourself when you have this sense of loneliness. Once you're out in the world working your career full time, it does pass. And remember to make the most out of your free time, because you don't have as much of it as you did in college. And remember to, seek those that you truly have a deep connection with, that truly understand you, because you're not going to have time for a large circle of people as you did in college. So the people that are in your circle should be the people you really want in your circle. I hope this was helpful for all you out there. Yes, I do tend to drone on. So if this was helpful, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching to the end. And please, if this was helpful, I'm very intuitive in all my videos. So check out my older videos that YouTube was recommending to people a few weeks ago until they changed the algorithm.